Alright, this is GSU weather with the 9:45 a.m. update for Wednesday the 6th. Right now, Irma is still at 185 miles per hour with gusts as high as 225 miles per hour. Location is 18.1 degrees north, 63.3 degrees west. As you can see, the movement is west-northwest at 16 miles an hour. It's starting to pick up a little speed with it. And the minimum central pressure is 918 millibars. Extremely strong. Let's go ahead and go to the satellite real quick. Alright, as you see, the satellite over last night, it went over directly hitting a couple islands last night, specifically Barbuda, and we were watching the NOAA station there, and it went from 0 to 100 real quick. It quickly had winds gusting up to 150, 158 miles per hour, and then the station stopped reporting, which the wind thing broke. That's pretty much what it's saying for layman's terms. The only thing I want to point out from this is it still looks healthy, except it's starting to encounter a little bit of shear at the mid-levels on the west side. But it's really not impacting the strength of the storm in any sense right now. We'll monitor that to see if it does. But here's the 5-day forecast right now. You can see the cone is now shifted quickly north. And what I want to point out is I'm expecting sometime later today that parts of South Florida will be put under a hurricane watch, as well as parts of the Bahamas. It's starting to get more and more certain that South Florida will be impacted in some way, if not directly. Alright, let's go. This is the another plane is headed into the Hurricane Hunter's. Another plane is headed into the storm to give us readings. We'll be watching that as over the next hours as that comes in. Alright, we're going to jump into some models. This is the GFS, the latest from the GFS. Let's actually go to the broader outlet. This is in the Western Atlantic. Alright, so you can see where Irma is, and as it tracks through this model still has it turning slightly before Miami. This could change, but it's been a little more consistent with this slight turn before Miami, and it brings it up the east side of Florida, and then it gets out here near Georgia and South Carolina, and the GFS model is particularly showing a very, very strong storm, stronger than it is right now, and that may be a little bit overhyped. It all depends on where the track is specifically. It may not. And then bringing it into the Beaufort County, Hilton Head, Savannah area. And what I want to point out here is, let's go over to the European model, and this is from midnight. Another one will be coming in 3 or 4 hours. It does near the same exact thing, and this is, it's consensus on the models, which means it really should be taken kind of seriously. It definitely could change a little bit, as this is still about 5 days out. But what I want to point out is still any track where the storm turns north earlier could greatly impact the forecast. Any storm where any track where the storm turns north later could greatly impact the forecast and the strength of the storm. Okay. And here are the hurricane models right now. You can see where a majority of them right now are bringing it just close to Miami and bringing it up the coast and then turning it back towards Georgia, Florida area. So if you live in these areas along the Georgia coast or South Carolina coast, this isn't, these are just models and they're not exact forecasts, but now is the time to start preparing for the worst. Now, in terms of what the exact impacts will be, I don't know. Just like I was saying earlier, if the storm decides to, here, let me get back to the model so I can kind of give you a cursor. Alright, if the storm does one of these where it turns up earlier, like the GFS is saying, the storm's going to be particularly very strong when or if it impacts Georgia or South Carolina. If it decides to take one of these tracks where it goes more west and then goes over the Florida Peninsula, Florida will be greatly impacted, and areas in Georgia and South Carolina still would see a bunch of rain, but not as strong winds as it would be over land for a much longer period of time. A shift in the forecast, 50 miles to the east or 50 to 100 miles to the west would greatly impact the forecast of the storm. Pretty much what I'm saying is it's still a little bit too early to get specific with impacts, even in South Florida right now, until we get another 24 hours out there. Like I said, I do expect sometime today that parts of southern Florida will be put under a hurricane watch, and maybe even some evacuation orders down there in South Florida, maybe later today or early Thursday. But that's just speculation at this moment. Looking to see how well the hurricane stays together. But I mean, at this point, it's a 185 mile per hour storm, extremely potent and strong storm. And if it weakens to 160 miles an hour, it's still a Category 5 at that strength. This storm is not to be taken lightly. This is one of the strongest storms that you could see in your lifetime. So I will keep these updates rolling in. Potentially I could have 1 to 2 more video updates today. Definitely one, depending on what the model runs come in at noon for the European and the GFS. Alright, this is GSU Weather. Sign out.